Okay, so good evening, everyone. Dobry večer. Thank you for coming out to the second workshop in our skills development series in our basic computer skills part. My name is Emma Oladko. I'm the marketing coordinator for the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Alberta Provincial Council, and I'll be moderating this evening. And we have Rory with us, and he'll be hosting the workshop and running you guys through all of the new skills. For those of you who don't know, the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Alberta Provincial Council is an umbrella organization. We represent self-identifying Ukrainian Canadians in Alberta, providing leadership and coordination, identifying and addressing needs of the community, and providing linkages with Ukraine. We wanted to respond to the needs of the community as we always do, especially during COVID, and really provide a lot of support. And we thought now more than ever, it's really important to have digital literacy skills and be able to have the skills to stay connected online. So we created the skills development series to do so. So we've already had a few of our webinars. There's two parts to the skills development series. The first part is focused on post-secondary education options for people who may be struggling to find employment or are looking to change careers and are just having a tough time right now. We're putting out some information and hosting post-secondary institutions who have information for people who are looking to continue their education. So the second one of those in our series is next week on November 12th at 6 p.m. And you can sign up through our website and through our Facebook page. All of the links are on there. And then for part two, we're doing all of these computer skill workshops. So we already had our intro to computer basics, and those videos are up on our YouTube page and our Facebook page, as well as our website, I believe. So you can catch up on those whenever you like. And this is the second one. This is Introduction to Microsoft Word. Just a disclaimer, this is the English version. The Ukrainian version will be at 7 p.m. In a few weeks, on November 18th, we have our Introduction to Microsoft Excel. Excel can be a very intimidating program, but we're hoping to break it down for you and make it easy to learn. So that one, English is at 6 p.m., Ukrainian's at 7. And then on December 10th, we have our Google Suite workshop. And that one, again, English is at 6, Ukrainian's at 7. So I think with that, I will turn it over to Rory, if you'd like to get started.
Yeah. Okay, as she said, I'm Rory Storm. I'm the community officer here at the UCC. The first part was very basic introduction to computers, and I'll be talking to you about Microsoft Word. As you should be able to see, I'm sharing my screen right now, so you'll be following more along of what I'm doing on the screen rather than looking at my face. Just to talk a bit about Microsoft Word, it's a program. It's generally for typing up documents, letters, and anything similar that could be written up the same as as a typewriter. But as a typewriter wouldn't be able to. But the key differences between Microsoft Word and a typewriter is that on Microsoft Word, it is a digital application. So you're able to manipulate the words on page. You're able to manipulate the font and everything like that before you print it off. And you can even insert images onto the page that will be there when you print it off. Just to note before we begin that there are similar programs out there like Microsoft Word, just such things as Google Docs or WordPerfect. They pretty much have the same basic layout from the same functions. And everything I'll be doing with you today, you should be able to essentially do on Google Docs and WordPerfect. Just it might be in a different format, might be in different places. So I'm just gonna stop my video and follow me along on the screen here now. So this is just my screen, so ignore all my icon stuff like that. This is mine, but obviously the first thing we want to do here is learn how to ignore that. So we want to learn how to open up Microsoft Word first. So I already have a shortcut here for Microsoft Word, but alternatively, sometimes you may have a desktop shortcut, which is here. So these are just shortcuts to programs. There are two main ways that we can find out how to get to Microsoft Word through if you do not have a shortcut. So if you hover over this is your start key. Click on that. And I have it shortcutted there too, but you'll have a menu here on no matter what type of computer you have. And on mine, it's, if I scroll all the way down, it is alphabetized all the way down to Word. There are some older versions, as I recall. It used to be Microsoft Suite or Microsoft Office programs. It was a similar title. So this one's Office Tools. But sometimes you might have to go to Microsoft folder and it'll have a drop down menu like this, and it might be a sub-categorized thing like that. So that's one way to find Microsoft Word. And I'm going to actually untask that. The second way to find it is this search bar is useful for finding pretty much any program on your computer or laptop. So again, there's just a top app of mine. But if I type in, you'll notice that it is just called Word. Like if you see it, the application itself is called Word these days. So if I just type in on my keyboard, Word, it shows me everything that's related to it. It doesn't give me scroll settings, but like, yeah, so best match Word app. If that doesn't work, you could always just try Microsoft Word. Again, that just gives me the exact same thing. Now, I just unpinned it from my taskbar, but if you would ever want to have Microsoft Word pinned to your taskbar here like I did, you could go right here, right click, also known as your menu button on your mouse. And so don't unpin from start. I want to pin to start still, but pin to taskbar. And now it's pinned there. So instead of having to go these two methods, I can go straight to here. And yeah, let's open up Word. Now you'll notice upon opening that it prompts me with like all my previous documents. You can ignore those. For the purpose of this, we're going to click on New and hide all my stuff. So it gives you, you always see this menu every time you open up Microsoft Word if you don't have it minimized, which is this function. Actually, let's go over that quick. This function closes out of a window. This function makes it smaller. And this function minimizes it. So this wasn't actually on the program, but I might as well talk about it. Minimizing it, when you minimize a program, it just puts it down the taskbar. So you'll notice these have 3 highlighted bars here. These are all open, but they're minimized. So it's just like kind of like putting it away in case you want to switch to a different program or do something else. You can do that instead. This allows you to change the size of the screen. So right now I'm in full screen. This allows me to change the size of my screen. So if you remember from my previous webinar, the arrows here lets me resize my thing. So if I don't want to have such a large page, I can adjust it. And you'll notice that it's a square now instead of those 2 small squares. So it's maximize, minimize, and close. So the easiest way to always get out of any program, you know, on any computer is you hit the X in the top corner. I do believe on Apple Macintosh products, it is over here. It'll be red. But yeah, I might as well show you there. So now you'll notice it doesn't have a bar, so it's closed. So let's go back to opening it up. I figured I'd throw that in there. Why not? And it's back to that size I had it. Let's maximize this window. We'll go back to new. Okay, back on track. You'll notice there are a bunch of templates here, just for future use. Like say, here's a basic modern resume style. Like if you have troubles writing a resume, you don't know how to format it, what you like, they have a template to like give you a basic example. For the purposes of today, we'll just stick to a blank document. Okay, so we have officially opened a brand new document. Now, I know what I'm going to be doing, and a very good habit for you to get into yourselves is to name and save a document first thing, because sometimes the power does go out. Sometimes your laptop may not have the power cord in all the way, and it may die. Well, like the battery will die. It's a very good habit to getting into saving every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, however much you think. Like if you're writing 1,000 words a minute, which you'll never do, 100 words a minute, and you have like 3 pages full every 10 minutes, it's a good habit to get into saving. But first thing you want to do is have a place where you know it's saved. So let's learn how to save first. We're going to go to this top bar here. This is, yeah, we'll go file, click on file. So these are all drop down menus. Well, in some programs, this is changes in menus here. For this one, file is a drop down menu. And you'll notice there is a save and a save as. I'm just going to specify you should always choose save as, because save will save it to a location on your computer, but you more likely than not, you do not know where that file location is. Where save as allows you to choose a location manually each time. And even if I already have a location, more often than not, I like to choose save as anyways, just to make sure I'm choosing the exact same spot each time. So I went to File, drop down to Save As. And it gives me these options. You can ignore this stuff's mine, but you're gonna click on Browse. Now this window we're in right here, this is called the File Explorer window. So this is file exploring through Microsoft Word, but you probably have the similar icon here. That's actually called File Explorer. It shows a very similar window, but this will allow me to see all my documents, where this allows me just to see specific documents with Microsoft Word. So I won't see Microsoft Excel documents in this certain File Explorer. Anyways, continuing on. So you probably want to find a spot to save as. If it's your first time saving things on, like, in general, more often than not, your computer will have a this PC option. And it might be called my computer, this computer, etc. PC just is another term for a computer. I think PC actually stands for personal computer. And it will generally have these exact same subcategories as well. I'm going to go with my PC. I generally do my documents, and I already have a bunch of my own files here. For the purposes of this one, I'll make another file. So these folders here work exactly the same as folders in a filing cabinet, where the folders themselves don't actually have any data of themselves. They're just folders for choosing documents within them. So I'm going to make a new folder. I click new folder there, that little button. I'm just going to name it Microsoft Webinar. And you'll notice it says open now, because you don't save to a folder, you open a folder. So imagine I have a digital filing cabinet. This is my filing cabinet. I'm going to open this file. See, going from open to save, because now since I'm within the file, I can save. So it's empty because, of course, I just made it. And I'm going to name this webinar example. Before I save, I'm just going to point out, in case you're wondering where you will see this in a second too, but it gives you the tracking method of how you got to where you are right now at the top. So if I go up to documents, it'll take me back to this file, documents. If I hit that up again, it'll take me to PC. So it just tells you I hit documents. From documents, I hit MS Webinar example, save. So it says there, now it says you're saved to PC. Congratulations, you've now named your document, you saved it to a location, so that if I did hit File, Save, it would go through the exact same path we just did and save right to the exact same spot, where it would be my PC, documents, MS Webinar folder, MS Webinar example. Okay, so now we've saved it, we've named it, great, we can get typing. But before we do that, we're gonna go learn how to open it. So just naturally, like, I might as well, let's close out of this file. I'm back to square one. I'm just where we begin. So let's open it again. There's two ways to open a file, like right off the top of the bat. We see that we have been given this option of new or open. So open takes me to the same window we did just for save as. And so it already shows me where I just was, but let's start from where I was before, just so we don't get lost. This PC, by the way, if I hit documents here or hit documents there, it'll do the exact same thing. It's just showing the subcategory here. So let's click on documents on this side, MS Webinar example. I double clicked it. If I would have single clicked it and hit open, do the same thing. So I'll show you this way. File shows, if you notice, file has the exact home, new and open. So it's the exact same as when you open up the program, just gives me these extra options related to the document. We'll go open, we'll go browse. Just showing you really quick again, like how to do this. I'll double click on it. So I double clicked on it before. You can just single click it and open it. Both do the same thing. Okay, now we're done doing the basic stuff. Before we begin typing, not everyone has as acute eyesight as I do. So I am going to just draw your eye to, there's this menu that allows you to do a bunch of different things. Let's go to view. Now, my personal preference is I like viewing things like how this page is here, but say, let's put my name in here. Is that too small for you? If yes, I'm on view. You see this zoom function, this zoom like bracket. This will change how the screen appears to you on the page. So I'll just go to zoom menu. Right now it's 125%. Maybe you want to view it smaller. There, maybe that's way too small now. Well, maybe we'll try 100%. That's the standard that Microsoft, I think, usually will set it to, is 100% for you. Maybe that's way too small still. You're going to double the size of it. There, is that better? Can you see it well now? Yeah, so if you like viewing it that way, that's fine. This will not change the size of the lettering on the piece of paper. So if you know it's like, I don't know, that's 1/20th, 1/30th of the length of the page. If I go back down to 100%, it's still relatively the same. So if you print off the sheet of paper, it'll still be the exact same lettering. You can just view it on the monitor at a much larger size. I personally prefer 125. So if you don't like 100 or 200, if that's too big of a difference, you can be like me, and you can type in here too instead. But I'm just going to show you. I can arrow up right up to 125. It shows a preview. You have options here, but let's stick to 125. There, that's what I'm going to do for the purpose of this. Okay, and that's view function. I'm going to go back to home. Yeah. Let's go over the cursor. So you'll notice that there's this flashing line on the screen, and there's also my mouse changes. This is just the cursor for typing. So this cursor where the looks like a capital I can't hover my mouse over its own mouse. This just means I can select something, or I can like place it. So if I place it there, if I start typing, it'll start from there. I can select. I'll be going over this stuff later too. I'm just telling you, the cursor just indicates where that line is going to be when I click it. So if I move my mouse over here, but I don't click, nothing happens. I click once, there you go. Okay, let's look at the keyboard. Now, there is a sheet, I do believe, that came with this. If you have the link for that sheet, or if it's sent to you as a separate document, I'm not actually familiar. I'm sure Emma can sort that out for us. Emma's a dear. There is a link on there halfway down, I do believe, on page 2 or 3 for keybr.com. And that's what I'm going to be on because it's just very useful for what I want to do next. But this particular screen, in case where I'm at, if you click on practice, it's taking you to the screen when you go to that website. And it's just, this is just a typing tutor thing. So if I hit those keys, it types in. Let's look at the keyboard. So obviously enough, these are the number keys, get off there, and the letters below are the letters. So this looks like a very standard typewriter, the same way it's been for, I don't know how old typewriters are, but I can assume at least the past 100 years, the keyboard looks like this typical setup you have here. If you look at your own keyboard, there is a pretty decent chance that there is a line right here below the F, and there is a line right here below the J. And that's indicative of where your index finger, so if I click here, it shows the exact starting points where your finger should be for like having your hand placement on a keyboard. And if you actually look at these colors, it tells you which keys your fingers hit. So again, the F and the J, your pinky goes here, next finger, index finger on the J, et cetera, et cetera. So use those lines on the J and the F, just get comfortable with your hand feeling that. And when you just place your hand on the keyboard, you should be able to, maybe not right away, but a couple months from now or a year from now, you can type without having to look down at the keyboard to see which letters are where, because your fingers already know where that starting placement is, and your hand should look like this in standard. So feel free to come back to this later, this website, keybr.com, go to the practice thing, and if you just click off here, it kind of alternates. If you click back on the keyboard, it'll tell you where to put your fingers and also help indicate which keys should be hit by which fingers. So if I hit the 7 key, that would be with my index. Same with the 6, it would be that index. But the 5 and the 4 would be this index, et cetera, et cetera. Those colors are pretty faded, so I'm hoping you can all see that. Color blindness is a thing, just saying. Yeah. Okay, let's go to essential keys. There are some keys, and these are what the letters are. So like this is the L key, the K key, the J key. Some of these keys are called essential keys. And this one, we'll start with the space bar. So if you look at your own keyboard and you look at what I'm hitting right here, this is the space bar. The space bar is for adding a space between words. So let's do an example. So if I was just typing a normal sentence for a button output typing a normal sentence, there's a space between each of them. That's exactly what that space bar does, is it adds just a single space between them. And that's pretty self-explanatory. The next essential key is the backspace. So it's that button on your keyboard, and that actually is self-explanatory too. It backspaces. So this is a backspace, this is a backspace, but backspace also will like delete letters. So M, I type back M, backspace will go to the left. That's important to note because I'm pretty sure the next essential key is, yes, a delete. So this keyboard shows it there, but my laptop itself, I'm using a Bluetooth keyboard, but my laptop itself, the delete button is actually located right here. So the standard keyboard will have it right there, but sometimes it may be located right there. And just as a note, sometimes the delete button will just say DEL, so like just a short form of delete, but just be aware it's the same thing. I just need a drink. And the next essential key is, oh, actually, I never went over what delete did. Delete goes the other way. So backspace deleted the M. Delete will delete the A. So delete just goes the opposite direction as backspace. So they're both useful for editing. The next essential key is enter. Now, enter is a very common functional key in several programs, several websites, just all over the place. Like if I'm searching for something, I would type it in. I could just hit enter. When I was doing that search here, I could hit enter, and it'll just do that search for me. So this search is automatic, but sometimes you need to hit the enter key for something to actually perform its action. I hope that makes sense. But for the purposes of Microsoft Word, again, I'll just make sure, enter key. The enter key adds an entire line. So if I'm typing this sentence, say I want to drop a line, that's dropping a line. And I could type a different sentence. I want to drop a line. So like if you're making a list, like say you want to make some very stereotypical Christmas list, what I want for Christmas. See, I'm using the backspace there. Look at my efficiency. A cat, a dog, a pony, a second dog. I love dogs. Lucy. There. So those are all enters. And then the way you would undo an enter is you'd be at the beginning of the line here, backspace. And I could put a space there in case I wanted to, or I could backspace, put a comma, etc., etc. Let's go back. What's next? Capitalization. Okay, there are two ways to make a capital letter. And obviously, I'm sure everyone knows what a capital letter is. That's a small letter. That's an auto capitalization. I'll just put some letters here. That's a small letter. That's a capital letter. Very, very self-explanatory. There are two ways to capitalize a letter. First, I bring your eye to, this is a shift key. There are two shift keys, the ones that are flashing. In order to make a capital letter, but a single capital letter, you would hold a shift and you would hit the button you would like to make a capital. So for the when you're normally typing, if you want to make a capital A, I'm using that with my pinky and I'm using that with my ring finger, but it wouldn't be uncommon to hold shift with your other pinky and do A either. There are some letters you have to get used to, like holding the opposite shift and doing a letter. Like you wouldn't do shift there and try and do a T because you're spreading your hand apart. Like I have large hands, I can do it. You would actually do a shift there and you would hit the T with your left hand. I can't show you my hands, but that's something to work on down the road. The other way to make capital letters is using the caps lock, wrong button, sorry, caps lock button. But the caps lock is different, where the shift, in order to make a capital letter with shift key, you have to hold shift and hit A. Caps lock is a toggle type button where you hit it once and all the letters will be capitalized until you toggle caps lock again. So let's go to Microsoft Word to do an example. So if I hold down Shift, I can make a capital letter. As soon as I let go of Shift, hat, there, like that's just an example. If I toggle caps lock, so caps lock is on right now. It's just, it'll keep everything is capitalized. But if I only hold Shift for the first letter, yeah. And you may wonder, like, why would that be a thing? Well, if you're typing, how often do you capitalize every single letter? You don't normally do it unless it was like a title. Like say you have a title of something and it was, I don't know, my letter to Santa. You know what? Let's continue this theme. This was not the theme I meant to go with, but we're gonna title my document as my letter to Santa and my Microsoft webinar. Toggle off caps lock. So you may use caps lock for a title. You may not. Who knows? But if you're writing your name, or you're doing, you know, the noun vowels, like, or not noun vowels. What am I thinking of? The verbs. Well, like a name. Okay, like I would type in my name Rory. So you would only use the word. You would only use the Shift function just to do the first capital, because it'd be annoying to keep toggling on and off caps lock all the time. So there's Rory. Let's look at cursor movement next. So say you want to move your cursor around, or you just want to change something somewhere. So you've seen me like jumping around this document a bit. I'm sorry, a bit. Maybe you want to indent a paragraph, or you want to sign off at the bottom of a letter. You want to change words in the middle of your document. There are a couple ways to do this. So first I'll show you moving around. So obviously I can use my mouse. I can put my finger, and I'll put there, hat, 8, everything is capitalized. That makes no sense. But you can use your mouse, except for what's the problem with that is my hand is now off my keyboard and it's on my mouse. So that is inefficient sometimes. So like say I don't want to click around, I can move around, but you don't see my mouse moving. So how am I doing that? Pretty simple when you look at a keyboard. How do you think I do that? The arrow keys. Yeah, they're pretty simple to use. Up, up is up, left is left, right is right, down is down. Great times, great times. So I want there. Maybe I want to go back over there. I go down a line, up 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 a line, left, right, left, right. Pretty simple. I'm gonna steal some stuff here just for the examples here. I literally just gonna steal words. Plagiarize for a second. Don't worry about what I just did. I copy and pasted. We'll be going over that in a bit. But so formatting is different between different cultures and languages. I know that. But how I was taught in university and myself and everything is you want to indent your paragraphs. So to indent, we use, I'm going to go back up to it, the tab key. And what tab does is it moves it in. Usually there's like measurements right here. Can I show it? No. Tab. So actually, I guess I was just talking about, so I'll do it. I tab there. I want to go down paragraphs. I'm going to tab there too. So it just moves everything in an inch on those paragraphs. Sometimes if you're signing off, it's not uncommon to go, well, for me, it's not uncommon. I'll go, thanks. I'll tab over. I'll do my name. And that's what the tab function does, is it just moves, indents it into a first spot, and it does count as an entire empty space. So the only way to get rid of a tab is to hit backspace. Undoes it. Not the last keys, but almost last keys. It doesn't show it. Oh, where's my mouse? There it is. It doesn't show it on this keyboard, but you'll probably notice right about here on your keyboard, or right about here, there is an ESC. That is called the escape key, or the escape command. Depends on what you want to call it. This escape a command key. And in the Word document, you don't use it for much, but a lot of times if you need to get out of certain programs, or there's a window that you just can't figure out how to make it go away, try hitting the ESC button. Just a little heads up for you. Let's move on to selecting text. So you'll notice I like copy pasted this stuff. Well, we're going to go over that right now. The control key. I gotta keep alternating. No, stop. Close. Sorry about that. The control key, they're just like the shift button. There are two control keys. There's also two alts. There's two alts, two controls, two shifts. We're not touching alt, but we're looking at controls right now. They both do the exact same thing. The control key has several functions, but it's commonly known for you to activate certain functions a little quicker rather than clicking by performing a shortcut. So that might sound a little complex. Okay, so first I'm just going to show you how to select. This is going to be a bit of a narrative here. So you remember at the beginning I said this is my cursor. I can select words. So I can select words this way. My cursor, if I move it over it, I just want to select the word slow. There, it's selected. Or there's another way you can do it. I can double click on the word. So if I click once, oh, it actually did it there. But if I click once from there, if I click again, no, it didn't do it that time. I double click. It gives me all these options. I can change the lettering style, stuff on that. We'll talk about that a bit later, but selecting is in general what I'm just getting at right now. So I can click on it, I can drag, but you can notice I can also drag multiple words. I can do whole lines, I can do the whole thing. There are other ways to do that. I could actually leave my thing right there and I can shift select. So if I hold one of the shifts and I hit an arrow, it'll do fairly exactly the same thing. So I'm holding the shift key right now and I'm arrowing left. So you'll notice I just selected it that way. So I can do a lot of things on my keyboard rather than using my mouse all the time. Let's show what else you can do with that though. So now I'm going to show the copy command. So when I stole these words from the website, I didn't steal words, but I stole the words. I did the right click function, but I'm going to show you the control function here. So I'll show you actually, I'm going to jump around. So I did right click, copy. And what copy allows us to do is, non-surprisingly, allows us to make a copy of it. So if I right click again, I can paste. So this just gives you the options what you can do it. So source formatting, merge formatting. We're just going to go keep text only. So random. So I copied the word random and I just pasted it down there. However, let's show you a different way to do that. Actually, I'll just show you the same way, but there's several ways you can do this. That's the thing. I'll select the whole line this time. Now, I showed you the right click method, but if I draw your eye way up to the top here, there's a cut, copy, paste function. If you go to copy, it'll do the exact same thing we just did. But instead, sorry, I'm trying to show you the button method. I can go paste. If I do that, it'll give me the options it did there before. I can just hit paste too. There. However, there is yet another way, and I'm going to show you by telling you how to do the shortcut first. So if you notice when I hover over top of this, it gives you a little drop down menu and it says copy in brackets Control C. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. If you hold down one of these controls, so I hold it and then I hit C, that's exactly what that's trying to tell me that shortcut will be. So if I hold Control C, well, that's a copy thing. What's the paste one? Well, obviously, you just hover over it and it'll show you Control V is for paste. So I'm going to go back to this. Control V. There you go. Now you learn the shortcut. So instead of like moving around my mouse all the time, I could actually just do this. I could select this text. I can Control C. I can go down here, enter, enter, Control V. And look, I didn't even have to touch my mouse anymore. Isn't that cool? What was I going to talk about next? Yeah, just to touch on, you probably noticed that you see on my screen, I'm doing the things I do without explaining how I'm doing it. That's what these buttons are actually right here. This allows me to undo and do the things, but you notice I'm not clicking on them. I'm cheating and just not telling you what I'm doing. So when I've been pasting things, I've been deleting it right away. What I'm doing is actually another control shortcut. Would you like to guess what letter I'm doing? Control Z, of course. Control Z. There, I just undid whatever I just did. So if I undid that function, well, if I want to undo what I just did, Control Z. But if I want to move, think of it like moving backwards in time, forward in time kind of thing. I want to undo what I just undid. Control Y. Because I'm at the top of my function. So redo auto format, undo typing. Don't worry about the typing auto format. It's just talking about the last thing that I changed. So I'm just a person who got really used to using control functions. So it just makes everything so much simpler personally. Like I would get used to hovering over top of it. So I was gonna talk about this a little later, but if you do learn how to, you see how like if you hover over some of these options, so we're gonna go over this stuff later too, but Control B, Control I, Control U, Control Shift, that one. So some of these are complex that I would never use them, but they're there. There's shortcuts. That one doesn't have a shortcut. Let's see if this has a shortcut. No, you get the idea though. If you just let your mouse hover over these things, it'll just teach you how to use shortcuts. It's pretty cool that way. It helps you learn. Yeah, okay, let's get into formatting now. Formatting options are the options that allow us to do things like bold in words. So I was actually just hoping it bold in words, underline them, italicize them, and additionally you can format them in such ways like numbering lines or changing the paragraph style, whether you want them centered or columned on the page, much like a newspaper format. And by doing so, first we'll select the text. So we've already been over this. I don't need to go into massive details. And then this, by the way, is called the home menu because I'm home. This is the menu under home. If I went to this menu, this is the insert menu. Just like when I was on view, this is the view menu. So this just changes like how you view everything. So like I could go to, let's not do that. That's annoying. I mean, I already went over this. I don't need to. This is the home menu. let's stick to formatting like I was just talking about. Let's select this paragraph. Yeah, let's begin with our font. So the font is the type of letter. And the nice thing about modern day Microsoft Word is it actually shows examples of all the types they have. So you don't necessarily have to hit it first to find out what it is. But so currently we're on Calibri, which is a standard at the top. Recently used fonts. So Times New Roman is very common. So I only selected, this is an important thing. When you have something selected, you're obviously only affecting what you have selected. Just like when I was copying before, it was only what I had selected. So, is this Times New Roman? It says Times New Roman. It stays there because wherever I click is talking about what that formatting is. If I go to click here, that's Calibri. If I click here, Times New Roman, Calibri, etc., etc. I can jump around. I'm going to show you the next control function. I don't think I have any other control function to teach you after that because it doesn't actually show you on here. There's control functions that aren't on this menu. But if I do, actually maybe I did. I think I already did do Control A for you. Control A selects all. So instead of having to select all the way, you could just do Control A and you've selected everything. And let's put everything back to a standard Times New Roman. Let's now change the font size. So my capital letters, we'll leave those that standard size. Maybe we want to change the words to a smaller format. So this is the size. I don't even know if there is. Oh, you can change font size with the control function. So currently it's at 11. Maybe you want the letters to be bigger when you print them off. It gives you all these nice large options. Maybe you want to put it on poster or whatever. Maybe we just want to do 12. That one's pretty self-explanatory. These options right here allow you to do it individual sizes. It's just more buttons, but you could just click and select on the drop-down menu. That's a preference. Let's do bold, underlined, and italicized. So again, this shows the control functions, but you can bolden them so they all became thicker. Italicize, italicizes them. maybe here. Thanks, Rory S would be italicized. Maybe if we're making this like a letter, maybe we would make the title bold. And maybe let's underline it too. So that just puts a line underneath it. And so if it's bolded and italicized, you notice it, like if I'm here, it doesn't tell me what those options up there. Both bold and italicized. What do we got next? Yeah, this option colors my font. So let's undo this just to show you what I can do. Oh, by the way, you can have all these effective at the same time. Bold, italicized, underline. But I can also color them. So what's a good color? I mean, this already gives you a demonstration of what it is. I'm going to make it blue. There. Now my title is blue. Let's go back to automatic black. And we're almost done here, by the way. So the next part is just paragraph formatting. So align left, line center, line right, justify. Or I call this columned. So columned will be just like that. So if I got rid of these, it'll make it from one side of the line to the other. It'll make it very square box, much like you see in like a newspaper. Newspapers are columned a lot like this. Obviously, they are just more full. If I do it from the left, it doesn't really change this much because of just how it was styled, but it was just everything aligns left side. I can have the word centered. So you wouldn't really have paragraph centered. You might have your title centered. And then this could be, I mean, you can also do right. You'd only really do stuff like this, like for certain formatting things. It's not very common, but maybe you're making a post or something. You want a picture right there. You could insert a picture right there and push all the words to the right side. It's too much work to show for this webinar. And the last thing to show you guys is bulleting and numbering. So remember that Christmas list we were making earlier? Maybe you want to do dog, cat, a pony, 3 more dogs, and a chocolate bar. But you know, that doesn't really look like a proper list. Maybe we want to make it an actual list. So we select it all, we give it bullet points there. Or maybe you want to have it listed, numerical there. Now, just a cool little thing for here, if you want to make more numbers, you don't have to like imagine you need to make more lines. I could just hit enter and it just already gives me number 6. But an important note, if you don't put anything for number 6 and you just hit enter again, oops, I hit another button there. I messed that up. I should go back there. So I hit enter. If I hit enter again, it deletes that. I kind of messed with you guys for a bit there. So yeah, but another cool thing. So say you don't want, you want to put something between a cat and a pony, but you don't want to have to like move numbers around. The program will automatically do that for you. So say, what do I want next? What do I want for Christmas this year? A nice pair of socks, but I want that number 3. I can go to the end of this line and hit enter. And you'll notice everything moved down a number. So now I have 6. So a pony was 3 before. Now it's, I'm just going to backspace out of there. So 3 is a pony, 4, 3 more dogs, 5 is and chocolate bar. They all shove down a number, and I can put a pair of socks. Cool. And I do believe that's it for this webinar. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed. I highly recommend it. If you figure out everything I've mentioned in this video, just peruse all the different menus in this program. Try to make a table, or insert a picture. Play around with these settings, and there's a lot of different components to Microsoft Word, and the best way to learn this is to just explore. Have fun, explore random things. It's cool to learn. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Rory. Hopefully some of our viewers, participants learned something from that. So now we'll take any questions that you may have. You can just put it at the bottom of your screen. There should be a button that says chat. You can just click on that one, or you can click on the box that says Q&A, either one of those, and type in your question. So everyone knows, I will send out the handout document that Rory was referring to, as well as the link to the recorded webinar after. So if you need to watch the webinar over again or go home and practice on your computer and watch it again, you definitely will be able to do that. If you need to go practice, or if you're watching this webinar recorded, You can leave your questions below this video. So on our Facebook or YouTube page, there should be a section for comments below. You can leave your questions there and we'll get back to them as soon as we can. Yeah, so I'll just take a look if we have any questions. Doesn't seem like we have any right now. So maybe we will wrap it up. And again, feel free to leave your questions for us. You can also email us at info@uccab.ca if you have any questions or any inquiries on future webinars. Just for a reminder, we do have the next webinars and workshops in our skills development series. The next one is on November 12th, next week, and that one is on post-secondary information. The one after that is on November 18th, that is Intro to Microsoft Excel. And on December 10th, we have a workshop on Google Suite. We also will be having a workshop on labor laws and knowing your rights as a worker, and that will be in early December as well, so keep your eye out for that one. So thank you everyone, and have a good night.